Hey guys, chapter 1018 is out, and outside of the whole Nika and Sun God stuff, which we'll get to very soon, this was very much a fight-centric chapter directly coming off of chapter 1017. Seeing as how there wasn't much else outside of the fight itself, I'm gonna try and keep this video a little shorter, so let's just get right into it. Now, we as an audience who have been following the story on a week-to-week basis tend to understand and pick up on certain writing nuances Oda uses, or I should say we understand his style or structure of writing better than others. And that sets certain expectations for how we expect certain things to play out. However, deviating from this expectation is what may make some chapters better than others, because the audience doesn't always want to meet their expectations and for it to come true, as the story would become far too predictable if we always know what to expect. That's part of Oda's job as an author and a mangaka. So what am I getting at here? Well, basically what I'm trying to say is that I did not expect a follow-up to Who's Who vs Jinbei so soon. Onigashima has the largest cast of non-fodder characters, which is a huge challenge to juggle all at once, so seeing two chapters alone centered around another character that isn't Luffy is quite rare. So I fully expected the story to just shift to a totally different area like it did with Robin and Brook vs Black Maria, but I am happy to announce that this was not the case. Now, I'm not even gonna bother talking about the Tama stuff because at this point I really do not care. We did get a cute panel of Nami though, and speaking of which, at the time of this recording, it's her birthday, so happy birthday to the future King of the Pirates' Navigator. Now, we also learned of CP0's true intentions and their whole purpose for being on Onigashima in the first place. They're here to assassinate Who's Who, which I think is a lot more important than most people realize. We need to remember that CP0 doesn't work on their own whims or violations. They take orders directly from the Celestial Dragons themselves. And if you reread their dialogue, it's made clear to us that they themselves are not aware of the reason they were sent to kill Who's Who, hence why they speculate amongst themselves. One of them even asks what's the difference if Who's Who's alive or not. I don't think this whole situation is just to save face, like one of them says, because barely anybody even knows about this whole Gomu Gomu no Mi situation to begin with. So Who's Who must know something that the Celestial Dragons don't want him to warrant an assassination for him. Now, CP0 says that Jinbei will kill him, but obviously we as an audience know that he's not that type of character, so I'm looking forward to the eventual confrontation that CP0 will have with Who's Who. Presumably by the time they meet, Jinbei will be gone and Who's Who will be too weak to flee or fight, so we'll get some interesting dialogue before he dies. If he dies, and I'm putting dies in quotes, because One Piece be One Piece. We don't know if... I wouldn't even put off Kin being dead or Kiku right now, so we'll see how that plays out. The fight itself though had some great choreography and techniques portrayed by both Who's Who and Jinbei, but what I find more interesting is the dialogue itself and the subtle interactions present between the two. For example, we see Jinbei's whole attitude change once Who's Who says the phrase, "You led the Sun Pirates? I heard the crew was made up of former slaves. Besides, isn't the history of fishmen a history of slavery?" To this remark, Jinbei clenches his teeth and the whole atmosphere around him changes. The flow of the fight or battle goes from a fairly even back and forth to a complete domination on Jinbei's part. Clearly something upset Jinbei, but the question of what remains. Guys, I think that rather than being on the topic of slavery and Who's Who being a racist ass, Jinbei got mad at the mention of the Sun Pirates. Remember that at the end of Whole Cake Island, we have no idea what happened to them. Sure, Jinbei attempted to avert speculation by saying that they were safe, but clearly there's more to it than that. Jinbei is mature and knows what the right thing to say is and at what time he should say it. There's always a time and place for everything, and obviously it wasn't the right time to reveal this information. They're about to go headfirst into battle with two emperors, so it wouldn't make sense to bring down the morale of the group by revealing that he wasn't able to save them or whatever happened to them. Or perhaps I'm just reading into it too much, but who knows, we'll just have to wait and see after the war finishes. Another interesting bit here is that Who's Who actually has a grudge against Shanks specifically. Obviously, seeing as how the Gomu Gomu no Mi was stolen and how that led to Who's Who's imprisonment, that would make complete sense, right? Well, what makes this interesting is that Shanks actually wasn't the one to steal it. It was Lucky Roo, which was revealed to us in the first volume of the Beaver Card data books about him. What this means is that Who's Who didn't actually have any direct confrontation with whoever stole the fruit. I think a mini Who's Who flashback would be pretty dope. Perhaps that could be the move that Oda was talking about Shanks doing in 2021. Beyond that though, we have the main topic of discussion for this chapter, which was Nika the Sun God. Now, I'm not going to delve too much into it in this review because I think it merits an entirely separate video of its own, and there's also a break next week, so I'll probably talk about it more then. But in short, I think that we got our very first glimpse at the previous Joy Boy, and Nika is his or her real name. Now that I think about it, I think that most people just assume that it's a guy, but it could very much be a girl too, if we are correct in assuming that Joy Boy is just a title. This Sun God revelation is one of those that makes you want to reread the entire series, as you begin to realize just how many references of it there are littered throughout the story. From the Sun Pirates, to Mother Caramel mentioning the Sun God in Big Mom's flashback, to the sun being highlighted as a big meaningful symbol in the Reverie. Heck, there could even be meaning behind the ship's name, the Thousand Sunny. It's no coincidence that this party scene in Skypiea is Oda's favorite in the entire series. Perhaps it too carries more meaning than we initially thought. This Joy Boy figure or Sun God is most probably going to be Luffy, but there are even arguments for Usopp, which would be a pretty cool and funny plot twist if you ask me, but he wasn't much of a focal point at all throughout this entire arc, so I highly doubt that. However, one thing is certain. With all of this build-up, this figure, whether it's someone we know or not, will be revealed to us very soon, and I cannot wait for the weeks ahead. Just for the fact that we're getting a follow-up chapter and an extension of a fight that is not Luffy, I'm giving this chapter score an 8.5 out of 10. If you like this video, go down and hit the like button, subscribe to the channel for more content like this, and I will see you all very, very soon.